Well, it is tell us something good time, fill the bucket, talk about what's good's going on. So everybody's on mute, right? So we're going to do this with Chatbox. So.
Or they can
Or
no,
you
they
can
can't.
unmute.
No, they can't.
No, they can't. They can't unmute. I think you can raise your hand and then we can see and we can bring you in. We can do all that fancy stuff too. So if you have something you want to say, I am thankful for, I am grateful for, a success story that you want to tell, it is the time to share that and go from there.
Kristen, what are you thankful for this morning?
You know, I am thankful that we get to wake up and see a beautiful sunrise in the morning. And I'm thankful for great minds around me, like my MAPS coach, who just, poses fantastic questions to me on, so I'm grateful for him as well. And I'm grateful that I have a purpose and a point of being here today doing business. So that is what I'm grateful for. Rachel, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for that beautiful sunrise I got to see this morning. It was magnificent. I'm grateful for Audrey, who keeps calling me during a live Zoom class.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, Kristen, I'll tell you while she's answering the phone. For me, I don't know if everyone realizes, however, it is so impactful when you're bringing your energy to these classes as participants and attendees. So for those of you that are watching on Facebook or watching on Zoom, when we're asking for interaction in the chat box and to raise your hand, it is because it's a bit of a challenge to give so much energy to a screen that's not instantly responding back to you. And so the fact that you show up and you're interacting and you're producing gives all of this a reason. If I feel like I would be on, do you remember the public access channel that used to be on TV and what that looked like, and sometimes what that programming, not PBS. I'm talking about like when a local person was able to like buy 30 minutes of airtime. And it was really horrible television. My point being is that sometimes it feels like you are talking into a television with no response back. So for those of you that show up every morning, those of you that are just giving part of yourself and giving that energy, it's so impactful to the overall culture and environment. And so just thank you to those that do that.
Michael, we can't see your face. We see your Chadwick group.
And what he just pumped the well there. And Aaron said, good morning. I'm grateful that we all are here and healthy. DJ says, I'm grateful for our leadership taking the time to check in with me personally on my own business. Thank you. I do miss being able to see everyone who's attending the meeting. Why are we doing this format? Great question, DJ. Aaron, I'm grateful for that DJ makes me laugh every day. XOXO. It's just a love fest over here between Aaron and DJ.
Well, I can tell you guys why we're doing this format. Well, first of all, we've collaborated. The three offices have decided to get together and bring content to you guys. And so instead of doing a weekly sales meeting at downtown and a bi-monthly meeting or every other week meeting in the beach, and then I think Seminole did once a month, our sole purpose here is to stay, like, just to reach out and grab you guys as best as we can and lift you up, and it must be working, because let me tell you what, these agents that are participating, they're kicking butt. I mean, they're not just kicking butt, Kristen. I'm going to tell you what they're doing. They're kicking ass.
Oh. If Kathy's on the call,
She's knocking on my door. I mean, hey, I'm also thankful for this leftover calzone.
There you go. There you go. And Kim says, I'm grateful for our KW family and to still be working, family and friends staying healthy and well. All right.
All right. So what do we got going on today, Kristen?
All right. Well, next we have, this is, did somebody take over my screen? I can't tell if it's me.
I bet it's Sheila.
Sheila, are you taking over my screen? Okay. think I got it. Do we have Lewis here? Is Lewis with us? I cannot see your face yet. I know he is around. I know he is there.
I keep thinking you're trying to channel your inner Southern.
Somebody
There
asked
he
me
is.
where I
Oh,
was.
I saw him. Did he
Yeah,
already get pulled
there
in?
he is. I just can't see his face yet. Somebody asked me where I was from the other day and they guessed Alabama. I'm like, I've really been spending too much time with Rachel Sartain.
Hey, that's a good thing. What are you talking about? Hey, Lewis.
To come
Is that
Hey.
a Bill dog?
Can you guys hear me? No. it's my dream dog.
Oh, so cute. Hi, Lewis.
Hey.
Welcome to our Zoom. So I am very excited to have this conversation with you. And Lewis, tell us, just for those of us, I'm Kristen Egan, by the way, not everybody knows me. And Lewis, tell us who you are.
Well, I am an agent out of the Seminole Market Center. I'm on a husband and wife team. My wife, Carolina, and I, we have 2 buyer's agents, an admin that works with us. And, you know, we have been with the Seminole Market Center now maybe 4 years or so since they launched. And we just love the atmosphere. We love our leadership team all the way up to Mr. Chadwick. And, I do this every day. We're a small team, family owned team. We're growing every day.
Awesome. Well, I love that this is a family business for you, obviously. And you mentioned the family that we're all a part of, which is the Chadwick Group. So let's start with those stats, okay? So the weekly stats for the Chadwick Group have been posted. And from the week of the 13th through the 19th, we had 87 new listings across the Chadwick Group, which was 23 million, almost 24 million, 162 pending sales for 44 million, round up there, and 122 sold homes, which was about 41 million. So last week, our agents affected, 370 some families and over $108 million worth of sales last week. What does that show you? What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me business is still going. And, one of the biggest things that we started noticing when we started making our care calls was after we went through the pleasantries and they came back to asking us how we're doing in our business, it almost felt like the common theme was, oh my gosh, how are you doing? There must be nothing going on in real estate. And it couldn't be further from the truth. So what happened a lot of times, these numbers, if we share them through our database, through email, through social media, it kind of sparks interest and it sparks curiosity. And for us, it makes us tell our story, right? It allows us to tell our story and tell it in a way that's easy, relatable, but more importantly, like, business is going. There's business to be done. There are people that need to be helped. And the agents that are most present and ready to help are the ones that are going to win that business or earn that business. Right,
absolutely. All right, so we were discussing this slide, which came out from Pro, I believe it was, showing the 4-week trend of active, pending, sold, cancels, and temporary off market. And you and I were discussing how the story really behind this. So will you dive into this for us a little bit and tell us what you're reading? And I think everybody can see it on their screen. The blue is active, the orange is pending, the gray is sold, yellow is canceled, and then the light blue is temporary off of market. So yeah. Talk us through what you see on this a little bit.
Sure thing. So the biggest thing I see, the first thing I see is gray. Homes are still selling, okay? Yeah. Naturally, we've all had challenges. Sellers, buyers, for one reason or another, they can't move forward. Obviously, we've all had deals fall apart, but deals are still getting done. But the biggest thing that I take from this is when you look at active listings versus pending listings. Now, before this all started, I think we can all agree we already had an inventory problem. There was already not enough homes to go around.
Right.
And basically what we're seeing is homes that come on the market are basically being taken off the market or going pending almost just as quickly, right? So one thing we were talking about earlier, in Pinellas County, one of the items that we added to our slide was how quickly homes were going on the market. So this week alone, in the last 7 days in Pinellas County, 1 out of every 4 home was on the market 7 days or less before it went pending.
Now as a seller or as a client, when I'm talking to them and they're asking me, oh my gosh, you know, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Yeah, we're fine. If you need to sell a home, if you're pricing it right, you're going to get sold. And that's, I mean, there couldn't be any better indicator than 1 out of every 4 homes going under contract in 1 week or less.
Right. We talked before about our inventory, and you mentioned that here, that we're seeing the listings. If we look at listings active, what was taken, we went 917, 22 to 28 days ago, 1,000, 972, 979. So that's telling us that people are still listing their homes, and at the same rate, like this week, 1,113 went under contract and 775 of them sold. So we're not taking listings on as quickly as we're able to put them under contract and sell them. So talk about what that's done to our inventory in a little bit more detail.
So I know everyone saw the headline in the Tampa Bay Times, right? And hundreds of homes pulled from the market uncertainty. Now, this market, the way I explain it to sellers, is no different than our holiday market, right? Between Thanksgiving and the end of the year. If you go on the market during that time of the year, you're going to have less competition as a seller. And the buyers that are out looking are serious buyers. Right now, it's almost the same. Yes, there's less homes on the market, which as a seller translates into less competition. And on the buyer side, yes, showing they're down. I don't know what they're down, and I don't try to, you know, make up the numbers, but the way I explain it to a seller is, look, if you would have had 10 showings in 1 week, and now you're only getting 6 or 7 or half of them, 5, those 5 people that are coming are serious. They're able, they're ready, they're willing, and they're there to buy a home, because with everything that's going on, they're still looking at homes. So it's serious buyers and less competition. Why would you wait to put your home on the market?
The other thing you mentioned was that houses that are listing are taking a short amount of time to sell. You mentioned before, what's the percentage that you've seen go under contract within about 7 days?
Well, right now, the last 7 days is 25% of homes in Pinellas County. And that's about 330 homes, and 1 out of every 4 had went under contract. We have seen that number go up to as high as 33% a couple weeks ago. At the end of the day, it really, whatever that number is, if it's 25, 30, 35, it really doesn't matter. It just tells the story that homes are going under contract. And for people that read the headlines or they're scared or they're not sure what's going on, I can't tell them what's going on or what's going to happen 3 months from now or 6 months from now. And I don't try to do that. What I try to do is share with them the facts, right? And the facts are homes are going under contract, and they're going under contract quickly because there is such a tight inventory in our market, at least in Pinellas County. Right. Our inventory is so tight that serious buyers are still looking, and they're making offers. And those are the facts, right?
Absolutely. And what we're seeing, at least what I'm hearing, is that our agents are putting listings up, and they're not only going under contract, they're getting multiple offers on these homes that are priced right. And what that story is, and like you're saying, you can have the news tell the story, or we can tell the story as experts in the industry. What that is saying is that there are buyers out there who are ready to make purchases, and like we've been discussing, the inventory isn't there, so there is heavy competition on these homes that are coming on the market. So as you said earlier, we can't get enough listings.
We really can't. And I mean, a lot of this market is making people act, and either they're acting on uncertainty or they're scared. I mean, I don't know what it is, but the amount of calls we've received from sellers that have told us, hey, I'm not ready right now. I'm waiting for the market to go up. I'm waiting till next year. We're getting calls right now from those individuals saying, so what's going to happen? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. And those agents or those sellers, the line we've heard consistently for the last few years, I'm going to ride the market up. I'm going to ride the market up. I'm going to ride the market up. Well, guess what? They're starting to see what's going on, and there's no guarantee that 6 months from now that home is going to be worth what it's worth today. And one thing to just put a little thought into their mind is, I ask them, hey, so we know where we are today, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If I were to ask you which one of these two scenarios is the most likely to happen, your home appreciates and goes up in value 10% in the next year, or your home goes down in value? Now, it's just a simple question. I'm not saying it's going to be one or the other, but more often than not, I hear, well, the more likely scenario, they might go down if it had to be one or the other. And they're kind of making up their own mind right there about what they want to do. And again, I don't try to play crystal ball guy or any of that stuff. I just tell them what it is. And for some people that they say, you know what, we need to get it on the market. And I'm like, great, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you with that. And some people are like, hey, I still want to, you know, I feel uncomfortable with this or that. And okay, well, let's talk about that. How can we make it more comfortable for you? What can we do to help you with that?
Right.
But I think, you know, just presenting the facts and having them make their own choice, it's gold, right? And I think stats like this, when we put them on social media, people pick up the phone and they start calling and they're like, hey, I know we talked in January about my home being worth X. Is it still worth that? And I say, well, you know, maybe. There's only one way to find out, though.
Right. Well, Louis, I love that question. That's a great question. And it reminds me of what Gary Keller has said over and over again, is that when the market is going up, tell me when it stopped going up. We don't know until it turns, right? That's the only time. And what we do know is where prices have been over the longest recovery period we've ever seen. So what that question just is a well-formed question that helps people to think and make up their own mind and take action. So what I took away from this is that we have a story to tell from these numbers, and it's our job to tell this story, because otherwise all they're getting is what's coming from the news. I so appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming on and being part of our Chadwick group.
Thanks for having me.
Future. Thank you, Louis. All right, next we have Rachel to take it away.
And you're doing this one too.
Oh, I didn't know I was doing this one.
Well, we don't need to do much with Mr. Pat Mancuso, because Pat Mancuso runs the show. He is the man. Pat Mancuso is the bold coach extraordinaire. He's coming in to our call. I remember, Pat, you taught the first bold here back in 2009. Mr. Steve Capon was in that bold class with you. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Rachel. How are you? That just makes me feel old. Oh my heavens.
I was in the room with you, dude.
Man, I tell you.
Well, tell us about this new bold pivot and how it's going to impact our agents.
Well, you know, Rachel, it's a great question. And first of all, thanks y'all for having me here today. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to do in Bold Pivot is we're going to work on, first and foremost, people's mindset. If you think about what's going on in our world today, and, you know, we've been doing, I think the last count is our Bold coaches have done over 600 Zoom calls across the United States. And one of the things that we've experienced in this is that many are picking up the phone, most are not. And the challenge for that is, you guys, is that our commission checks that happened in March, and you all know your market center was probably, like a lot of market centers, had great March numbers, record numbers in some cases, and yet that production was from January, February, maybe even December. So the reality of it is we're not, as a group, we're not consistently lead generating to the extent that we need to in this pivot. And so, you know, I've been through shifts. I was through in real estate in the 9/11 shift. I was in real estate in the 2007, 2008. And this is different circumstances, yet the fact is we're still in a shift. So what Pivot is going to do is get people's mindset right first. The first thing Gary says in every one of his books, the first thing he said in the March 16th letter was, we got to get our mindset right. And I know people hear it and understand it, Rachel, and yet their actions aren't consistent with it. The way that we're built, you guys, is we're human beings and we want to protect ourselves. We want to stay safe. And right now there's so much uncertainty with what's going on that we naturally recoil a little bit. And we're doing that, and so have our clients, and yet our clients in our database don't have the same type of environment that we do. So Rachel, that's the biggest thing, is we're going to work on people's mindset, because frankly, if we don't fix that, nothing else matters.
Yeah. Have you ever read this book, Pat?
No.
It's so funny. I opened it up the other day, and I actually posted this page on Facebook this morning. It says it talks about that the only time as a society that we're willing to make a change is crisis, trauma, loss, disease, and tragedy.
Well, and that's because, frankly, Rachel, we're forced to. And the challenge for us as real estate agents, unlike Best Buy. So you go into Best Buy today, you order a TV, you drive up to the curb, they put it in your car, they took your money, you got the product. Real estate is, I do a bunch of activities today that I don't get paid until 30 to 60 to 90 days from now. And what I'm seeing and what we're in these conversations is that we're talking with a lot of agents and we say, okay, do this. And I'd encourage all of your folks in your market center to do this. Look at your pending closings right now on the books. And most people kind of avoid that because it might be uncomfortable, yet look at them, lop 25% off of them. Now people say, well, why would you lop 25% off? Well, Gary says, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And the fact is that the loan industry is changing. The requirements are changing. People that are applying for mortgages now maybe are unemployed. That's going to change everything. If 100% of them close, great. If 75 close, well, you've prepared for that. Now take your monthly expenses and go, how many months do I have to just survive? And see, what I think is people, that reality isn't there for everybody because their lead generation would be different. In fact, I said this on a Zoom call the other day. Are you lead generating right now as if you don't have any money? It's a great question to write down because and Rachel, you're shaking your head like probably not.
Yeah, we're not. We're still comfortable. We're still sitting comfy. And
that's the problem in real estate is that when it gets uncomfortable, if we start up the engine, it's 3 months before we get paid. And that's why bold pivot is so important. So I'll share. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, because we've talked about it in our sales meetings, and we had Jen Shaw in here, but really in order to get these agents into action, what do they need to know? Like, how do they go about making this happen for themselves?
Well, so Rachel, again, and I'm going to talk about, I'll share my screen and talk about bold pivot. Yet the first thing they need to do is they need to make a decision. In fact, you might want to write this down, you guys. Nothing changes until you make a decision in your mind. See, your mind controls your actions. And without making a different decision than you're making today, you won't take any different actions. And the challenge for many realtors today is they're uncomfortable. And so because they're uncomfortable, that's not a positive energy state. That's a negative energy state. And so because they're uncomfortable, they kind of recoil. What we should be doing is we should be reaching out to our database. In these calls, I've said, call your database your community. It's still your database, yet it's your community. Think about this as real estate agents. Rachel, let me just ask you, how many people that you do business with or provide or get services from have reached out to you personally since this whole started?
None.
And see, the point is that's why we could build a community. I pick up the phone and I call and I ask how they're doing. I ask, who could I help? I ask, how could I help them? We've even gone as far as like, we have a prayer group for the Bold Coaches. How many people could use some extra prayers right now? And if you call your database and say, hey, is there anybody that in your world that I need to pray for? We have a prayer group in our market center that meets every day. That has nothing to do with real estate. Gary says service first, sales second. And these are just conversations that we need to have. So Rachel, it starts with the decision. And the decision is, and this is another thing I've heard from a lot of people, they're like, well, I'm not going to hit my goals this year. Guys, that's not my mindset. I'm going to hit my goals. Now I'm going to have to do it different. And see, that's a decision, right? So people are saying, I'm not going to hit my goals. That's a decision, which is going to lead to different actions. I'm going to hit my goals. That's a decision that leads to different actions. So that's the biggest thing is we got to get our mindset right, wrapped around this, because that's where everything starts. And then the second thing is we're going to have to make different decisions. I've heard this a number of times in the things I study, the things I read, the things I learn, and I'm going to share it with you all. And that's why, again, this comes right back around to bold pivot. This will be the biggest wealth transformation in the United States. Now, we've heard this for a while, you know, wealth transformation being we should take it from Bob and give it to Sally. That's not the wealth transformation that's being talked about right now. Right now, the biggest wealth transformation will be for the people who are raising their skills that will be needed on the other side. So most people are just kind of not doing that, where, you know, I just, how I think, because I've been taught to think, is I invested in a $2,000 program about 2 weeks ago to help raise my coaching skill level. Now, why would I do that at a time when, you know, you aren't throwing around $2,000? Because the skills I'm developing right now will make me more valuable in the marketplace down the road. And then I'm not going to have to, if I was a real estate agent, cut my commissions. You understand that when we come out of this, when we truly come out of it, real estate agents are going to be desperate. And I don't mean our real estate agents, because we think differently. I'm talking about the general market. If I'm desperate for a transaction, am I going to be more likely to cut my commissions? The answer is yes. Well, I'm desperate because I don't have the skill levels to compete. Thank goodness we're with a company that thinks the way we do, has the values that we do, and provides the skill level that we do. That's why Bold Pivot is going to be so important.
I love that. I was just writing it down, and I know Kristen and I have talked about Bold Pivot, and to be honest with you, it's a little scary. The concept of 40 contacts a day, we're like, whoa.
Really? So, hey, ring-a-ling.
Hello.
Hey, Rachel, it's Pat Mancuso calling from Keller Williams Realty. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Pat. How are you?
Oh, I am doing great. Thanks so much for asking. Hey, Rachel, I've made a number of these calls to my database recently, and when people say they're doing great, sometimes that's just a natural reaction. Are you truly doing okay?
Well, Pat, I appreciate you asking. I am doing great. It took me a while to get to this point, but now I'm here.
Rachel, is everybody healthy in your family?
Absolutely, yes. I'm very fortunate.
So Rachel, I'm glad to hear that. So one of the things I've been doing, Rachel, is just touching base with my community, my database. And when I'm doing that, I'm also asking them another question, is that, do they know of anybody in their circles that need any help of any type?
You know, I appreciate that you called and asked that question, because I've been thinking the same thing myself, and I just didn't know how to go about it. So I appreciate that you're asking that.
So is there anybody that we could help?
You know, at this time, I don't know of anybody, but I'm going to start asking more.
Awesome. So Rachel, the reason that I asked that question is we're doing some things in our business with our community. Let me give you an example. We've set up a tutor every day at 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because parents are home with their kids. And frankly, I've got kids and I've raised kids, and some of the stuff they share with the kids, I don't know how to teach. So what we've done for our database, our community, is we've actually set up a tutor who's within our database, our community, who all the kids need to do is log in, and they'll help answer questions for the schooling so that we can take that burden off the parents. So do you know anyone who could benefit by that?
I know a ton of people. That's a beautiful idea.
Now, just stop. You're telling me that we couldn't make 40 of these calls a day?
Well, here's my mindset challenge, and here's the shift the decision I have to make. So I feel like I'm right here in front of this camera.
Yeah.
You know, 6 hours a day, and
so being in front of the camera, by the way, give me the phone again so I can actually talk normal.
Right. No, I'm saying that because we are so committed to fulfilling our agents with content that I've got to be able to take myself out of the camera to make my calls, and then be focused once I'm off the camera to make my calls.
So let me say something, and this might be a little controversial, and you've known me for a long time, so I never hold back with that type of stuff. 2 things. That's why Pivot is so important in March, so you guys can all take a break from this whole environment. Because I'm telling you, I'm zoomed out, and I'm doing a lot of Zoom calls, and you guys are doing way more. That's number 1. Number 2, we don't need more content. We don't need more content. We need more action. And just like these Zoom calls, you were doing something which I loved. You were taking notes. I wonder how many people on these Zoom calls are actually taking notes, number 1, and number 2, they're actually taking action upon the notes. It's like Gary says, he'll say, people say, well, we have a listing shortage. Gary will say, no, we don't have a listing shortage. We have a lead generation shortage.
Right.
So I actually think personally, again, it's going to be controversial. It's only my opinion. I think we're providing too much content. It's overwhelming. People don't need more content. They just need to take action. And that's what Bold Pivot is going to do in May. And I actually believe you get the majority of your market center in Bold Pivot in May. And then you actually could take a breath back and work with them at a whole different level. Again,
I agree. And I would love to see 100% of the market center there. I am committing to it, Pat, because I always commit to Bold just because every time I do it pushes me so far out of my comfort zone and takes me to that next level. To be able to make 40 contacts a day, I love the idea. I'm scared to death, but I also have big goals, and I'm not going to change my goals just because my world is changing.
Well, think of it this way, Rachel. If you made 32 calls and you got 3 leads, would that be success?
Yes.
If you make 0 calls, is that success?
No.
Okay. So we know that when people are in this environment, they're going to make more calls. Now, I know we've got limited time, and I definitely don't want to go over that time. Did James go through a PowerPoint with you of a few slides of what Pivot is?
Not really. He told us just, I think he was on here before you guys even had that. So
no worries. Let me do this real quick. So I'm going to go through what this is for y'all, and real quickly, what is Bold Pivot? And Bold Pivot is going to focus on, first of all, the mindset piece, which we all know is service first, selling second. It's really important. Nothing is going to have success when we don't have the right mindset. Now, we talk about scripts. I'm going to blow this up for y'all. There we go. We're going to talk about scripts, which are more like conversations. In Bold 2.0 and in Pivot, we're getting the script out and we're talking about conversations. I called you. That was a conversation that we do all the time. We got to get comfortable with conversations. Obviously, we want to reduce our expenses, and there's still more opportunity to do that. We're going to take people through that. Double down on leads, whether it's 40 or 30. I tell you, lead generation period is more important than no lead generation. We're going to build people up just like we do in Bold. Now, there's no fouls in Pivot. That's the other thing that people are going to be fouls. No, we're not going to have fouls. This is the time. Service first, selling second. Social media. We're going to have two-way texting, two-way social media campaigns to help people. And obviously, we're going to incorporate that into the command database. When is Pivot? It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3, 2 to 4 your time. It's streamed live. This second piece, though, I think is really important. On Wednesdays and Fridays, we're going to have a coaches corner. We're going to have coaches available to answer questions, to mastermind, to actually talk about things that might be shifting. Today, this is the way it is. Tomorrow, it's going to change. That's the one thing we know for certain. And then once people enroll, they have access to the Pivot Facebook page, which is different. And we have coaches manning that, womaning that, if you may, from Monday through Saturday from 8 to 8. Who can sign up? Guys, everybody can sign up. It's actually a no-brainer. Non-Keller Williams agents, even we've had salespeople approaching us in vendor relationships. This is what we're going to do. We're going to help make more money. We're going to sharpen their presentation skills. And we're going to help them work more efficiently. And we're going to take market share. If you were with Keller Williams in 2009 when Bold launched, we were number 4. We went from number 4 to number 1. We're going to take market share because we're professionals, and this is our opportunity to do that. And then we talked about what Gary said, sales first, service first, sales second. So I looked this morning, Rachel, and I know you all have more potential than this. There was only one person registered for Pivot. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I was waiting for you today. Watch this week, Pat. By Friday, we're going to blow your mind. But here's the thing.
What's the goal before Friday? What's the goal before Friday? Give me a goal. 100. So look at, these are the top 10. These are top 10 market centers in the country right now. Top 10. 128.
Well, I know we're top 10.
I know you are too.
Let's do it. Kristen, you ready?
Okay. So I'm going to give you a challenge. I'll come back and I'll spend a half an hour with you coaching when you get to 100 by Friday.
Okay.
I'm there. I'm here.
Is that
anything else I can answer for you?
Here's one of the challenges I hear the most. It's so expensive, Pat. So just so everybody know, Pat sent me a text yesterday and asked if we were doing a reimbursement.
Guys,
response.
Hey, listen, you know, this investment, or it's too expensive. Okay, so you highly successful people look at investments. Everybody else looks at the cost. It's very subtle.
$100,
Yeah,
Pat.
it's $100. Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. I know that you have a lot of successful agents in your market center. You know, we talk about this in bold. When you give, you create a gap. And when you create a gap, you receive. You don't give to receive. However, when you give, it opens up a gap. The gap gets filled. If I were in your market center and I was an ALC member, I was a top producer, and I had some better financial stability than others. If I got profit share today, I'd be sponsoring 2 or 3 agents, or half scholarshiping 2 or 3 agents.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably walk the streets and find $100
Well,
laying on the ground. Sorry.
Yeah. Flying so far.
yeah, we're good so far. Yeah. So think about this. Think about this. If I've got a profit share tree and I have 50 people in that profit share tree, and I invested $500, I could put 10 people. I almost protect my profit share.
Yeah, you do. You actually increase it.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, I've seen the content. I'm fortunate enough to be one of the presenters who's going to be doing the stream. $99. It's actually, well, I won't even tell you what I think of $99. I'll just tell you, it's the best investment you could ever make right now in May to get your mindset right. And by the way, you already know, if you've been to Bold, it's not just about real estate. It's about parenting. It's, you know, here's the cool thing about this is that I'm doing stuff with my kids right now that is Bold-like, that's helping them. My daughter the other day, true story. In fact, I'll show this to you. My daughter wants to have a YouTube channel, and she's an artist. Okay. She said to me, she says, Dad, people won't buy my stuff. And I said, Ashley or Sophia, that's a limiting belief. So we created a YouTube channel for her. And the other day I'm on a presentation just like this with 100 leaders. And I put the photo up and I said, how much would you buy this print for? And somebody said $100. And I went back to her the other night and I said, honey, you just sold that print for $100. And she said, Dad, I painted that for you. You can't sell that one. I said, well, you have to paint another one. So guys, Bold helps everything. Relationships, health, you name it. It's the deal.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pat. I mean, that was great information. Thank you for the challenge.
Should I block time for Friday to come back or Monday to come back?
Yeah, yes, because I'm going to hit that challenge of 100 people in Bold Pivot by Friday.
I love it. Well, hey, it's real easy. Just get 10 people to get 10 and you're all done.
All right. Did you guys hear that in the chat room? Thank you, Pat. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
your time.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye.
The question in the chat room is, how do we sign up?
Oh, hey, wait. Mapscoaching.com.
Thank you.
Stop that.
Mapscoaching.com.
I'll tell you what, let's do this real quick, because I wasn't looking at chat room. Oh, I'm signing up. Put in there me if you're signing up. Let's see how many we get right now, Rachel.
Awesome.
I'm seeing them. I see them. Here they all come. Great job, Pat. Thank you.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, next, thank you so much for that, Rachel. Next, we have Michael Reedy and DJ.
I got to pull him back in. I took Michael out because I was tired of seeing his logo.
All right, let's pull him in.
Well, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
We need to pull DJ in as well.
I got him.
All right.
Hold on. All right, DJ, you should be in here and you should be unmuted. I was just curious, what did you think I meant when I said I could find $100 on the street?
You know damn well what he.
We can't hear you. Where'd you go?
There we go.
Where is he?
He's over as a panelist so that we can see him as well. Well, once he shows his face.
So what were you saying, DJ, when I said something about finding $100?
I just said I'm glad I was muted when you made that comment because I'm sure Kathy is in this meeting.
Are you signing up for Bold Pivot?
You said find $100 walking the streets, to quote you accurately.
Right. And I'm still being really good. Y'all know.
I could probably find that a couple of times as well as you, Kristen. We could give out some scholarships.
You could find it. Yeah, absolutely. You can find $100. So with that, we want to talk about pipeline. This is one of the big things that we were really focused on. You know, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Rachel and I have talked about this at length. DJ and I have talked about this at length as well, because for a lot of people, you might be feeling a mix of emotions. I know that when I was having conversations with some agents in, middle of March, the conversation was, well, I don't really know what you're talking about. Like, I'm not experiencing any dips in my business. I've still got a whole bunch of stuff under contract. I've got a lot of closings that are happening. I've got more next month. And we even still have some of that narrative. We still have some people that are, yeah, I'm putting things on the market very quickly and things are happening. That's not the narrative for everyone. And also understanding that we have no idea what the future looks like. So DJ had a conversation with me last week and was really looking for some clarity around what he's supposed to be doing for the next 90 days, really to ensure that everything's happening. I mean, again, DJ's had wild success so far this year. We reviewed his numbers on Friday, and he is beating where he needed to be year to date so far in terms of his goals of hitting his numbers. And yet the awareness around where that business came from is what led to this conversation. So we only have a few minutes, but DJ, what I wanted to do was have a conversation with you around, we first identified your pipeline, where your business had come from, and then built a plan around it. What was maybe eye-opening for you when we discussed where your pipeline is and how long you've been nurturing that pipeline?
Well, realizing that, out of 15 closed units this year, 12 of them were from farm/open house, because I pretty much all my open houses have been in my farm. And just realizing that the majority of them, I have been working, I've been working on obtaining that business for probably a good 3, 4, in a couple cases, 6 months. So that's what really got me nervous when I asked, like, hey, can we set up some time to talk? Because, farming and open houses are a huge pillar of my lead gen and of my business. And as we all know, we can't really do open houses the way we were doing them. It's all new territory. So it just really freaked me out, because I have really high goals for this year. And as Rachel said when she was just talking a little bit ago, just because the environment has changed doesn't mean I'm changing my goals. I just have to change how I'm going to go about it.
Yeah.
So, and that's where you came in and really helped me narrow that down, or map it out.
For me, and this is the message that I hope that people are hearing from DJ, is he's realizing, I mean, DJ, how many closings do you have set up for April, between April and May?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7.
Yeah. So this was the conversation that we were having before, which was, I'm not worried about your March. I'm not worried about your April. I'm not even worried about your May.
Yeah.
I'm worried about your June, your July, your September, because all of the work that you've been doing Q1 and Q2 has a lot to do with what you've done Q4 and Q1 between 2019 and 2020. And so, of course, you've got kids in virtual school, you have parents that are dealing with certain things. I just want to make sure that right from the very first tactic of Shift, we talk about get real, get right. So getting real and getting right with where your pipeline is, the strength of your pipeline, how long have you been working on it, and how you're feeding it. No matter if you have 5 hours a week or you have 50 hours a week, just being really intentional and building a plan around that. So what we did, DJ, was we started, right? Because it does take time. You can't do a GPS in an hour. And yet we had that conversation around building a game plan for you for the next 90 days. And so what were some takeaways from that conversation? And then what were some strategies that you had built around those pillars, as you know, that so much of your business came from farm?
Well, basically some of the strategies that we set up, which, I'm incorporating farm and open houses, because again, I 99.9% are all in my farm purposely and intentionally. So I just had to revisit, like my very first year, I committed to 8 open houses a month. Not because I love doing them, but that's how I got business. I actually do enjoy weekends and doing other things, but it was time to work. So, I mean, now, I committed to 6 and doing them virtually. And by that, I mean doing it in a way that I'm actually capturing leads. I'm not just throwing a video out there and, hey, look at this house, contact me if you're interested. The next thing was, one of the other strategies was doing a small business flyer, which I'm currently working on now. And just, again, the small businesses in my farm, in my neighborhood, are my neighbors. And my potential clients. So at the same time that I'm coming from contribution, trying to help my neighborhood, I know that that's going to pay off in spades, because it has in the past as well. I'm laughing because my notes, it says stalking, but I'm not really stalking. It's one thing I've noticed in my farm, like we just had a huge landscaping project completed. So we had been out there, my husband and I, and just the amount of people, because everybody's home, walking by with their dogs, strolling by. Like, I never knew there was, I know it sounds stupid, but I never knew so many people actually lived in my neighborhood. I'm seeing people who live like 4 houses over that I've never met before in 3 years. So it's literally going out there and everybody's like ready to chat, and I've actually, gotten a lead that way just last week. And then, a couple other strategies as well. I can't read this one you wrote down and I can't read it. But those are a few. And then, and that's all under farm. And then I have, digital and social media campaigns as another pillar, and then Sphere, which I'm still building and working upon those too.
Right, absolutely. And so the point here is that, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, when you and I spoke a week and a half ago, you felt kind of all over the place, scatterbrained. You felt like you knew that there was stuff that you needed to do. You were grasping with the understanding that you have a new normal, you have new routines, you have a new work environment, all of those things. Mm-hmm. And so this isn't necessarily a plug for coaching. I just want you to speak to how you're taking advantage of accountability and taking advantage of some of the things that are here to make sure that you're staying laser focused in your business.
Yeah, it's so key, and a huge part of it. My husband's, I don't know if he's paying attention, he's sitting in the other room, but like he's rolled his eyes at me, or he's laughed at me because he's seen me roll my eyes a few times. By staying plugged in, honestly, it's no different than before this, when there was a period when I thought like, I'll just work from home and I won't go to the office as much, thinking like, I won't be distracted by this or that. Wrong. Like, being plugged into the office, honestly, it's been huge. A lot of the meetings, and to your point, yeah, coaching is super important for me to be accountable. I've also asked Damien to help me be accountable. Since he's, for lack of a better phrase, he's my new office mate. And he knows if I'm screwing around or effing off, or if I'm really working. I just saw Rachel. Yeah. I just said the letter.
I'm yours.
Oh, I thought you were waving.
No, that was my Kathy coming out.
Yeah. It was only the letter though.
Yeah, the intention was there.
Oh, it was hard. I almost stuttered.
So the point of all of this, and the reason why we wanted to bring this today, and we're going to wrap up right now. So thank you, DJ, for sharing and being transparent with your GPS and what's happening for you, is because I know that there are people that are watching this on Facebook, or there are some people that are here on Zoom that don't necessarily feel like they have clarity around what I'm supposed to be doing or how I'm supposed to be intentional while also balancing the other things that are happening is on one side. And then the other side is to really get real and get right with your pipeline so that if you're feeling comfortable now, I want to ensure that you feel comfortable 90 days from now, 120 days from now. And we know that that's a direct correlation to the way that you show up here. So any last words from you, DJ?
No, not really. Just I really do. I put it in the at the beginning of the meeting in the chat box. I just really want to thank, you know, all of, you know, everybody in leadership at the office, because it's really, you know, obviously can't speak for everybody else, but I don't think I'm the only one that it's really, you know, what is helping hold my business together at this time, because as we all know, you know, nobody else is going to go out there and work it and work the leads for you. You know, so it's just, everything you guys have done is greatly appreciated and really helps keep me plugged in and accountable. And that's key.
Absolutely. Thank you, DJ. Really appreciate it. Rachel has a question for you, DJ, probably before you leave.
So you showed me your shirt. What's your shirt say? So does that mean you're committed to Bold Pivot in May?
I have to ask my husband.
For $100.
For what?
For $100.
Oh, it's $100?
It's $100. That was my point.
All right. How about I go and I sponsor one of my mentees?
Love that. High five. And guys, if you really are hard pressed to find $100, I'll give you $100. You'll do the activities. But if you don't do the activities, you gotta give me 500 back.
I like that deal.
Good job, DJ. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, Kristen, the show's back on you.
I hear you. I shared the wrong screen. Let's share this one. Let's do this. There we go. So we have upcoming events now. There we go. Can you all see that? There we go. So today, and this, we have all a little bit different calendars for each office. These are our main classes. We have Zoom coaching today from 2 to 3 with Rachel and Michael, I believe. Is that correct?
2 o'clock, and that's for everybody. Anybody and everybody.
Everybody can come to that. And then Wednesday, the 22nd, Power Up at 8:30. We've got a buyer's consult at 9 o'clock. I am so excited. Miss Shonda Smith is going to be with us. That's exciting. And then our Take Command series with Drew and Renee at 1. And then at 1 o'clock, the marketing committee is, yes.
Yeah, big class that's missing off of this is called Agent Financials on Wednesday from 2 to 5. I swear we talked about that this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, and 2 to 5. So why would that class be important, guys?
Because it's talking about building wealth. So one of the biggest things for me when we talk about wealth, and if you go to the Webster Dictionary, like forget all of that. Wealth is how much you bring in minus what you spend is what you're left over. That's when we talk about profit. That's when we talk about wealth building. It's not just about being a gilded slave. So the point of this is that many of you got into real estate to build a business worth having and have a life worth living. And that's 100% correlated to what you do from a financial perspective. And so I'm really excited, Rachel, that you're bringing this back and that it's not just an hour, that this is a deep dive into the conversations of how successful business owners, real estate business, sales businesses are running their business and how you can too, especially in this time.
So that's tomorrow, 2 to 5, guys. Join in.
2 to 5. On Thursday morning at 9 after Power Up, there's a customer experience. Who's that with, Rachel?
Oh, that's Rick Bosley, a fantastic agent out of the Orlando market. He was a team leader for about 6-7 years. So he learned the models at a really high level and then took it back into his sales business. And he's going to be talking about the customer service experience.
Awesome. 11 o'clock, we've got cross-country mortgage mastermind and a coaching session with Michael Marcus. That's really small. I can't read it very well.
Mike Marcus, yeah, and Doug Wagner.
Yep. And then at noon, we've got the Launch Mastermind with Michael Reedy. And Friday morning after Power Up at 9, an addendum to contract. So an addenda class, and that is with Jennifer Orns and Jody. I don't know Jody's last name.
Staples.
Thank you, Jody Staples.
Jody Staples is he's actually an attorney, and he's the compliance officer for the Seminole office, and a realtor too.
Right. So we have a 9 o'clock lineup this week for you. And next week, there's going to be some fantastic classes as well. So stay tuned for those. And let's see, what else do we have? We have committees. Any thoughts on these, Rachel?
No, because these are such office specific, because since we're trying to do a collaborative thing, I don't think committees need to be on there right now. And even this, I think you guys have different partners in some of your offices. Rock Solid Home Inspection is hosting a Zoom class every Friday at 1 to 1:30, breakdown of home inspection reports. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Deanne, for that. That's over in our chat room.
Cool. Awesome. And are we doing wants and needs? I think we're sending you all to the exclusive pitch Facebook group that you each have, and we have in each office where you can pitch your listings. Please do so.
That is correct.
And your coming soons, exclusive office listings, I should say.
Kristen, sorry, I'm reading one of the group chats. I just want to say kudos to you. Great job. You had 3 segments in here, and you did a fantastic job keeping us on track with time.
You know, I put on my shoes and I stood up for this meeting. I was like, no more chairs. I am standing up and leading from an upright position.
I got my knees up. I got a new cocktail of choice.
Oh.
Big, and you put your vitamin C in it, but I only have like a small shot per day.
Oh, that's good.
What? Michael is really good. You should try it.
I have a great.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe your heart is gonna be in overdrive with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and whatever else is in Bang.
What do you think's gonna drive me to call and get 100 people to sign up for Bold today? 100 for $100 each, guys. I need some more me's. Michael, are you in?
I am. Do you see my post? So I challenge everybody in the coaching program that if you sign up for the Bold Pivot, sorry, I was looking at Aaron's message. If you sign up for Bold Pivot and you're in the coaching program, I will personally reimburse you for the $100 out of your first 2 transactions there afterwards. So that's a challenge for those that are looking for it. We know the impact of Bold, and I know that a lot of people that are in coaching have not had that experience. So I'm definitely there. You're going to be there as well.
I'm just going to say, I'm not reimbursing anybody for $100 for your own investment into your own business. And I don't care if it sounds harsh, it's $100. If you don't have it, you just call me and I'll give it to you. But I guarantee you that it will set you up for an amazing year. No doubt.
Absolutely.
Kristen, are you taking it with me?
This will be my 6th round. I've not missed one.
Awesome. I'm gonna need some help with those 40 contacts.
You're like 16 or 17 in on Bold.
This should be like, well, this isn't real Bolds, by the way, but
yeah. Well, Rachel, how many Facebook friends do you have? And since all the people that you know are realtors, you should be able to get through at least 20 social media conversations a day, plus your 20 on the phone.
Deborah Ferguson, I'm so proud of you. She said she's in. I love it. All right. Yeah, I can get through 2,400 Facebook friends. And you guys, if you send me referrals, that's 2 contacts. You're a contact and the referral is a contact. So I'll take those as well.
That's awesome. You know what Pat said, that this is a mindset. My Bold coach asked me today, is this a skill set issue or a mindset issue? You've got the skill set. This Bold Pivot is just going to get us in the right mindset to move through this next portion of this world that we're in right now. So it is an awesome opportunity. I'm excited for it. Hey, Michael,
Yes, ma'am.
Reedy and Red, thank you. And have a great afternoon. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Kristen. Bye.